Hasan Piker is somehow, sadly, one of the biggest political commentators of our time. He is very well known for being a liar, and he supports terrorists and terrorist groups. And above that, he is, on average, absolutely terrified to challenge anyone to a one-on-one debate because he knows that the average person with very minor knowledge and just common sense would question and call him out on his typical lies. And when a person like this is intentionally challenging you to a debate, and you are Asmongold, and you are even more terrified of facing Hasan than anything else in a one-on-one debate, what does that honestly tell about you? Well, it doesn't tell a lot of good. Because honestly, Hasan and Asmongold are the same side of one coin. Both of them lie about a lot of things constantly. Both of them make up facts and don't even know the words that they are using typically. And if I was Asmongold, I honestly would also be afraid of calling out Hasan and talking to him, considering that this somehow was what happened the last time that Asmongold decided he is gonna engage in a debate with Hasan Piker.
People, by the way, Iran is actually weirdly very pro-trans, but I'm sure that you probably didn't know that. They're very homophobic, but they are very pro-trans. A lot of cultures are actually very pro-trans, way more than the United States of America.
The very next day after.
That is insane. Almost any normal person would have instantaneously been, what? A country from the Middle East is pro-trans. The country that is this close to making throwing gays off rooftops their national sport is pro-trans rights some magically how? Well, it's not. Obviously, this is a blatant lie. But Asmongold just sits there and says, oh, I did not know that. Because Asmongold has absolutely no honest basic knowledge about anything.
Homophobic.
Asmongold is very good at one thing, though. And that is making up sentences that sound kind of good and appealing. And this is why I think he has a large audience. Because people just listen into it at the background and they don't really think about what he says. Because when you put it in writing, what Asmongold typically says is mind-bogglingly stupid and easy to tell that it's a lie, or it's false, or it doesn't mean anything. A lot of people just fill in the blanks instead of Asmongold so it sounds good, but that's normal. And this is a great Twitter account that actually highlights a lot of things that Asmongold says in clips, and they do the hard part, and they actually transcribe what he says on paper. And when you see it on paper, most people are easily able to recognize that, wait a minute, does Asmongold even understand anything that he says? So let's watch a couple of clips and then actually figure out what they mean.
What is this here, Hasan? A lot of people spamming about Hasan. Why are people spamming about Hasan? Hasan, I saw people are saying he was watching one of my videos. What is it now? Yeah, what is this, Twitter? Let me see. I can pull up Twitter. Give me 1 second.
This is the maximum resolution. Maybe we should watch it like this because it's so low P.
Hasan. Policy understood and misunderstood the argument. Open to clarification. He wants to talk about this. The problem is that I don't want to engage with Hasan because he openly creates, like, if you look at this right here, this is just generally the way it is. I found that, like, debating things and, like, arguing with people doesn't really help. It doesn't convince anybody or anything like that. You are beginning your criticism of me.
See, I'm gonna let this play, but this is why I find criticizing Asmongold so hard, because almost every 3 words that he says typically can be criticized, and it's really hard to not go into a situation where you're forced to contextualize what he says so it makes at least a little bit of sense. So you're actually doing him a favor by recontextualizing what he says into a thing. And by the way, there's a lot of Asmongold fanboys who are gonna be like, "Ooh, it'll take." Shut the fuck up, loser. No one cares about your childish 10-year-old behavior, okay? Can you write a real criticism? No, you can't, because you're a fucking failed McDonald's employee who fucks up the drive-thru order constantly. Get a life. And for the ones that are gonna try, good luck, because this is my challenge to all the Asmongold fans typically, and it is: take a spot where Asmongold says something, a sentence or two, stamp it, and then explain what he says there. No one ever does it, because this is the thing. Whenever someone tries to explain what Asmongold means, there's typically like 100 different interpretations of what he says, because he doesn't really say anything. And this is what people often fall for when it comes to Asmongold.
With a caricature of what my point of view is. Why would I engage with somebody that is intentionally being dishonest?
By the way, this is what Asmongold does himself.
Well, why would I do that? Of course I'm not going to do that.
Of course I'm gonna run with my tail between my legs.
And also, I think that he's making a mistake by being like as extreme about this and being as wild about this. This is a person that is in the country on a green card, and there are restrictions for people that are on a green card. These are stated. He violated those restrictions, and I support the restrictions, and I don't want people who aren't citizens to come into the country and support terrorist groups. If Hasan wants people who are not citizens to come into the country and support terrorist groups, then that's his own prerogative, but I disagree with it. That's it.
Such a great appeal to emotion. But anyway, let's look at what was highlighted, because this is hilarious, okay? This is so easy to figure out especially when it's just right in front of you. I don't want to engage with Hasan because you're scared shitless he's going to destroy you in a debate. There is literally no reason to not engage someone in a debate, especially if someone you can siphon off a big chunk of his audience. Because everyone loves a moment when someone gets pounded, right? I don't want to engage with Hasan because debating things doesn't really help. Debating things doesn't really help. You know, debating, the thing that we have done since the dawn of civilization, the thing that has made us do better decisions as a group, the thing that has helped us create everything that we have, the thing that has helped guide humanity in the right direction. Yeah, debating, that thing, it doesn't help. I don't know, unironically, how stupid do you need to be, say that debating doesn't help. And then Asmongold is even worse. He further contextualizes it. You are beginning your criticism of me with a caricature of my point of view. Why would I engage? You're in a debate. If he misrepresents your point of view or tries to lie in any way about your opinions, you can just stop him and say, no, these are not my opinions. This is not what I think. Asmongold is fully aware of this. So he is being completely intellectually disingenuous when he says that these are the reasons why he does not want to do this. Because obviously, debate is effective. It is one of the most effective things to actually make people switch sides. And again, if someone criticizes you or lies about you in debate, you can just stop them, explain how they are wrong. But Asmongold can't do this, because one of the things that Asmongold often does is, for example, at the end of this clip, he talks about this is the rule of law. Asmongold, in reality, doesn't give about any shits about the rule of law. It's just a convenient shield to stand behind. Because if it's the rule of law, you don't have to explain why you think it's good. You don't have to do anything, because the law is on your side. Even though, in this particular case, what he's talking about, we actually don't even know what are the charges currently. Let's continue.
Get him the hell out. Yeah, exactly. It's crazy this even needs to be said. Well, it does. And I think that, like, really the problem is that this level of extremism is detrimental to, I think, that the cause that Hasan supports, and I think is a noble cause for a lot of the Palestinians who have been displaced and have had their lives ruined. And I think that Hasan is doing a disservice to them by trying to take a...
I love, by the way, how he's constantly now trying to reiterate the Palestinian point that he previously did. AKA, you know, the one where he pretty much was one step away from calling them S-human, you know, below that. Don't want to speak it on YouTube, that's a bad thing, right? You know, he was just one step away. He was afraid to say it, but that's pretty much what he characterized them as. And Asmongold has been on the repenting spree because, again, he does not believe anything that's not a popular opinion. You know, he's on a repenting spree about that constantly.
Person who is viewing a terrorist organization as a good thing, and they're looking at this person as if they're worthy of defense. I think that average people will see this and it will radicalize them against Palestine in general. And I hope he understands that. Now,
that is purely speculation. There is no reason to believe that. If this was true, in fact, no one would support Palestine. But there are normal people who are not leftist lunatics who actually still support Palestine. So, Asmongold's conjecture here is completely false. He's just blatantly wrong.
He might disagree with me on this. He might think that's not what he's doing. I think it is. And I think we're going to have to wait and find out and see how many people agree with this and how many don't. But I think there's a lot of people that have watched the videos of Hasan running defense for terrorist organizations multiple times. He didn't need to do that. And I think that him doing that, the only thing that did was make his position worse. I think it's own-going. It's own-going, and I don't know why he's doing it.
Own-going. He means ongoing. But that's pretty much the point. Okay. Okay, so as always, it's so easy when it's just right there written in front of you. Problem is, this level of extremism is detrimental to the cause that Hasan supports. By saying this, Asmongold directly implies that there is some kind of magical level of extremism that is acceptable. Again, people are going to be, oh, that's not what Asmongold means. Then what the fuck does he mean? I mean, if his words are not accountable for what he is saying, then what am I supposed to believe, huh? He literally says this. He doesn't apologize. He doesn't correct himself. He just says this. There's no way to interpret this other way. That there is a level of extremism that is acceptable. Now, extremism is extremism for a reason, and extremism is not acceptable in any situation almost. Okay? So, Asmon implying that there is a level of extremism that is good and should be supported is crazy. It's absolutely just insane. Hasan is doing a disservice trying to take a person who is viewing a terrorist group as a good thing. This is actually, I don't want to defend Hasan here, but again, this is why Asmongold is afraid to talk with Hasan, because even fucking Hasan would instantaneously call him out, because Asmongold is just literally implying that this is a terrorist group on things like that, which we don't actually know. Asmongold, in fact, again, this video would be like 50 minutes long, so I'm not going to do it. But Asmongold does imply so much here in these conversations, stuff that is not proven, completely never brought up except from Asmongold himself, and that's pretty much it.
Like arguing or getting on stream. I have no intention of arguing and debating with anybody about this. It's not something that I like doing. I don't find it to be enjoyable. I think it's just annoying and stressful.
Of course it's annoying and stressful, because the average person is gonna literally shit all over you. The only people... And by the way, this is a blatant lie, because he calls out people in his chat pretty often, right? He calls them out. And the reality is, if you're calling someone out in the chat or comments, that is fucking cheap. Because there is no way someone, while writing, can actually respond to you while you are talking. Because you can just keep talking, change your point, and then they need to add something. You can suddenly say, oh, this is the correct explanation for what I mean, and blah, blah, blah. It is impossible. There is no way to win in an argument if you're writing and the other person is talking. The talking has such an absolute distinct advantage. But that kind of debate, Asmongold, 2 thumbs up. He does enjoy that, though, because he can't lose.
And ultimately, also, I'm not going to engage with this because Hasan is beginning his criticism of me with a misinterpretation. Yeah, I'm just...
Again, like Asmon cannot fix the record on that.
It's not. I don't feel like doing that. There's not much to debate. Yeah, there's really not much to debate. It's either this applies to him or it doesn't. It's really just that simple.
I mean, everything is a yes or no at the end of the day, but we all know that that's not actually how the world works. But that's fine.
So, and again, I think that if they want to use the argument and say that, well, it might not apply to him, then yeah, I think he should challenge it as much as he wants. But that's it.
That's also a fallacy. It doesn't make sense. But that's fine. And again, this is all about the guy who was on a green card and now he's being detained, deported, or whatever the hell the story is, which is very, very questionable.
It always happens. And Hasan says DMing you. Yeah, he is. As I said, the thing is that about men's motives are dangerous, wrong about legal cause, reading that's about denying a waiver. When someone's legal permanent resident on soil, it's not as constitutional protections everybody else has. Well, if that's true, then he should stay. Yeah, and that's really...
Again, Asmongold is the guy who saw the... What was the quote? Being an American ally enemy is bad, that being America's ally is lethal, quote or whatever. And Asmongold, and someone just literally linked some random link in Asmongold's Reddit, subreddit. And Asmongold didn't even check the source. He just, oh, this guy says it's false and he has a clickable link. I guess he's... Hilarious.
Yeah, I mean, like, I think that they need to decide that in the court, right? And if that's the way that the law...
You see, now this is called... now Asmongold is getting confronted with more things at this point that seem that he is in the wrong. And what he is doing now... Well, if you remember at the start of all this, because this is about that guy who's going to get maybe deported or maybe not deported, Asmongold is talking like he's 100% getting deported because Asmongold knows that he broke a law, because Asmongold logic. And now people are providing things that Asmongold doesn't know how to refute or has no idea if they are right or wrong, and now he's like, oh, the court, let the courts decide. This is just classic moving the goalpost.
All works. I mean, I don't really know.
But not for the thing that's happening, but for your moral position.
Exactly how the law works. This is what I've heard before. That's if. Yeah, exactly. Now, in my opinion, by the way, this is still my opinion, I don't want to have anybody in the fucking country that's not a naturalized citizen that's supporting a terrorist organization.
This is just one more situation where Asmongold uses a word naturalized citizen without understanding the context of it. And I will tell you the context. Asmongold thinks that naturalized citizen means a person who is in the country and has completely assimilated to the culture of a country. In this case, he literally, I think, there is a chance that he literally thinks that this only applies to America, but a naturalized citizen is just someone who becomes a citizen of any country from a different country. That's what a naturalized citizen is. And the moment you understand that he has no idea what this phrase means and just is using it on random, I mean, you don't even have to need me to explain how fucking stupid this sentence suddenly becomes.
And I don't think that we need to afford the full rights of freedom of speech to people that are not even citizens to advocate for terrorism. I think this is an insane position to have. Now, if Hasan
By the way, Asmongold has these positions a lot. He is in favor of guns, and he is in favor of free speech, but in reality, he's not in favor of any of these things. Let me explain. Asmongold constantly lies, and one of his lies is saying just that he's in favor of the First Amendment, the Second Amendment, or whatever the fuck amendment. But in reality, when he goes into this, it's like, let me demonstrate, because these are Asmongold's positions. Now, he has never explained what it actually is, but it's kind of wild. At least I have not heard him explain, for example, what he doesn't like with free speech. I know what he doesn't like about guns, but let me explain. Let me give the free speech example first. Asmongold, are you for free speech? He says yes. And the caveat here is not actually. In fact, he doesn't even like free speech. He openly admits that there should be a lot of things, in his opinion, that should not fall under free speech. And free speech is a very simple thing, at least in America. It's either you're for free speech, which means you can't just remove things that you don't like from it because it's free speech, or you're against free speech, like Asmongold actually is, because he wants to remove things from being protected by free speech because he doesn't feel that they are good or whatever. It's the same way with guns. Asmongold is for guns and gun ownership, but no one should ever be allowed to concealed carry. No one should ever be allowed to open carry. No one should be ever allowed to leave their house with their gun. And no one should be actually allowed to use anything above maybe handgun for self-defense in their own houses, and maybe a shotgun, but anything else is illegal. You see? He's not actually pro-free speech. He's not actually pro-guns. He's just lying about these things. Or he's dumb enough to not understand that, putting all of these things as restrictions for these things makes you actually against them, not for them. But then again, he's literally a Bernie Sanders supporter. He openly says that he would have voted Bernie instead of Trump, and somehow he likes the things that Trump is doing? I'm sorry. Am I insane thinking that Bernie and Trump literally have almost nothing in common? The average person who does not know anything about Bernie Sanders probably is thinking that, hey, isn't Bernie just like a normal leftist? No, Bernie's actually a pretty fucking insane communist. Yeah, those are Bernie's positions. He is extremely pro-communist in a lot of ways. And yet, Asmongold would vote for Bernie instead of Trump, but he's somehow fine with Trump's choices? Like, these are almost mutually exclusive things. Anyone who is going to say, I'm a Bernie supporter, and at the same time they're saying, oh, I like what Trump is doing, you probably don't fucking understand something here, because it's almost that's probably completely impossible, not even almost impossible.
Here's the thing, though. If Hasan is right, if he is right, then he should stay.
Wow, what a great... This is, by the way, his grand point in this. If someone is right, they're right. Mind blown! Wow! Okay, let's get... No, wait, actually, 10 seconds.
Think he is, from everything that I've read and I've seen about it.
From everything I read and I've seen about it, while admitting not even 30 seconds ago that he doesn't know anything about the law. Nice.
That's it.
That's it. There you go.
So we're going to find out.
Yeah, we're going to find out. Yeah, he is. This is still, in my opinion. I don't want to have anybody in the fucking country that's not a naturalized citizen. Again, Asmongold doesn't understand what a naturalized citizen is. I don't want to have anybody in this country that supports terrorism. So this implies that he is fine with having people who are citizens and are pro-terrorism, which is obviously most likely 100% not his actual position. But again, Asmongold just makes sentences sound good, but those sentences are stupid or don't mean anything. Exactly the way that this is. Oh, if you're a naturalized citizen, you can't support terrorism. But if you're a normal citizen, which is actually a naturalized citizen, because a citizen is a fucking citizen no matter how you spin it. That's also a thing that doesn't make sense here. There is actually there is literally no difference in how laws apply to a naturalized citizen and on a normal citizen. A citizen is a citizen at the end of the day. And that's why a green card holder is not exactly a citizen. And also, I'm pretty sure, I don't remember where he talked about this, but I didn't say this. I'm pretty sure the First Amendment applies to anyone in the US, not just only US citizens. Laws of countries typically throughout the world. Now, there are exceptions to this sometimes, but those exceptions usually involve terrorism and things like that, or, illegal activities. But almost every country in the world, without exception, treats anyone who is not a citizen, but is in their country, with the same laws as their citizens. Almost. There are some exceptions, there are some rules that apply harsher and whatnot, but America is no exception to this, okay? America doesn't have a magical rule book that is for non-citizens.
Tell Hasan this, right? And I'm sure Hasan is probably going to watch it anyway. If Hasan is right, then not only should he not get deported, but he should sue the government for unlawful imprisonment. If he's right. I think the law matters a lot. The law is extremely important.
The law is just a shield in Asmongold's opinion.
And while I may disagree with the law, you have to follow the law. And so I think this needs to be decided in court. From what I've read, from what I've seen, and also, to be fair, ideologically, I want him to fuck out. However...
Okay, so, if you are following the law, your ideologies don't matter at all here. Asmongold constantly just uses the law as an easy excuse for gaining, wow, he was right points. Because there is absolutely nothing easier than just deferring and shielding your opinion with, well, that's just what the law says. For example, if pedophilia became illegal in the US the next day, I'm sure Dr. Disrespect would be thrilled. But this is an Asmongold video. Asmongold would be against that, most likely. I'm like 99% sure he would be against that. He would not like it. And and suddenly the law wouldn't really matter. He would not be defending it as law if it just magically popped into place. Which means that Asmongold actually works from preferences, not actually is law good or bad, or the law is the ultimate thing that decides shit. It's all preferences, and if his preference is the same with the law, or if he's lying that his preference is the same as the law, which he does often, then he will just use the shield that, well, it's the law, so we're gonna do it like the law says, because that's an appeal to authority, because it's the law. And that is an easy way to farm wins against him, okay? Well, against anyone. And that's what he does a lot. In any case, it's kind of hilarious that Asmongold is absolutely mortified to have a conversation with Hasan Piker, because, I mean, this is how it fucking ends, and it's absolutely disgraceful. Anyway, this was Sin. Bye-bye.